Most men don't struggle with attraction because they're unattractive. They struggle because they're trying to be chosen instead of being grounded. And that difference sounds subtle until you experience it. Because the moment you start trying to be chosen, your entire energy shifts. You stop listening. You stop being present. You start performing. And performance never creates desire. What no one really explains is that attraction isn't something you convince someone into feeling. It's something they discover on their own. Usually when you're not trying to guide them there. That's why the harder you push, the further it slips away. Not because effort is bad, but because pressure kills curiosity. Think about how most conversations start. You meet someone you're interested in, and immediately your mind starts racing ahead of the moment. You're already wondering where this could go. You're already imagining the outcome. You're already trying to avoid mistakes that haven't even happened yet. And the irony is, that mental future is what disconnects you from the present. Women don't feel attraction in the future. They feel it right now. In the tone of your voice. In the pace of your words. In how comfortable you are with yourself in silence. In how little you need the moment to turn into something else. And this is where most men get it wrong. They think attraction is about doing something impressive. Saying something clever. Being more interesting. But attraction doesn't come from adding layers. It comes from removing tension. You can always tell when someone is relaxed in their own skin. Their movements are slower. Their reactions aren't rushed. They don't feel the need to explain themselves. They don't chase validation. They let moments land instead of rushing past them. That calmness signals something powerful. It signals emotional stability. And emotional stability is one of the strongest attraction cues there is, especially in a world where most people are anxious, reactive, and constantly seeking reassurance. A lot of men confuse interest with effort. They think if they care, they should show it by doing more. More texting, more checking in, more compliments, more availability. But attraction doesn't grow from constant presence. It grows from meaningful presence. There's a difference between being available and being accessible. Being available means you show up when it matters. Being accessible means you're always there, always responding, always leaning in. And accessibility, over time, removes tension. It removes mystery. It removes the space where attraction grows. This is why pacing matters more than intention. You can have the best intentions in the world and still sabotage attraction by moving too fast. Because attraction is emotional momentum, not emotional certainty. The moment everything feels predictable, the emotional charge disappears. And this isn't about playing games. It's not about acting distant or cold. It's about not rushing intimacy before it's earned naturally. It's about letting connection unfold instead of forcing it to crystallize. Most men are afraid of silence because silence feels like loss of control. They think if they don't fill the space, the moment will die. But silence doesn't kill attraction. Insecurity does. Silence, when you're grounded, actually creates tension. It gives the other person room to lean in emotionally. It signals that you're comfortable being seen without performing. And comfort with being seen is rare. Another thing that destroys attraction quietly is over-explaining. When you justify your actions too much, when you clarify your intentions too early, when you explain yourself before anyone even asked, that behavior doesn't make you clearer. It makes you look unsure of your own value. People who trust themselves don't rush to be understood. They let their actions speak over time. They don't need immediate validation. And this applies far beyond dating. It applies to every social dynamic. The person who is least attached to being liked usually commands the most respect. Here's something uncomfortable and important. If you're constantly worried about losing someone, you're already in a losing position emotionally. Not because loss is inevitable, but because fear changes how you show up. It makes you smaller. It makes you reactive. It makes you cautious in a way that feels tense instead of calm. Attraction responds to freedom, not fear. When you're emotionally self-contained, when your sense of worth doesn't depend on how someone responds to you, your presence changes. You're not chasing reactions. You're not fishing for signs. You're not scanning for approval. You're simply there, and being fully there is magnetic. Most people aren't really present in conversations. They're half inside their own head, monitoring how they're coming across, planning their next move, rehearsing their next line. And that internal noise leaks outward. Even if nothing is said, it's felt. Women are especially sensitive to emotional incongruence. When your words say one thing but your energy says another, they feel the mismatch immediately. You might sound confident, but if you're tense underneath, it comes through. That's why calmness matters more than confidence. Calmness means you're not fighting the moment. You're not trying to bend it. You're not afraid of where it goes. And that calmness allows attraction to breathe. Another truth most men avoid is this: you don't need to create attraction with everyone. Trying to be universally appealing weakens your presence. Attraction is selective by nature. It's not meant to be evenly distributed. When you're okay with not being for everyone, you become much more attractive to the right people, because you stop forcing alignment where it doesn't exist. This is why detachment is misunderstood. Detachment isn't not caring. It's caring without clinging. It's interest without attachment to outcome. And that balance is powerful. You can want someone and still be okay if it doesn't work out. That emotional flexibility is strength. Most men think strength is persistence, but emotional strength is adaptability. It's being able to stay grounded regardless of response. If she's interested, you don't spike emotionally. If she pulls back, you don't collapse. You remain steady. That steadiness builds trust. And trust is what turns attraction into connection. A lot of attraction advice focuses on tactics: what to say, when to text, how long to wait. But tactics only work when the internal state is right. Otherwise, they feel hollow. If you're using silence to manipulate instead of regulate yourself, it backfires. If you're pulling back to provoke anxiety instead of maintaining balance, it shows. Intent matters, even when it's unspoken. That's why the real work isn't learning techniques. It's learning emotional control. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means not letting them drive your behavior unconsciously. It means noticing the urge to chase and choosing not to act on it. It means feeling desire without letting it turn into desperation. And desperation is the fastest attraction killer there is. The paradox is this: the more complete your life feels without someone, the more attractive you become to them. Not because you're unavailable, but because you're not looking to them to fill a void. People are drawn to fullness, not because they want to take from it, but because it feels safe to be around. When your life has purpose, direction, and meaning beyond dating, your interactions change naturally. You're not leaning. You're not seeking escape. You're inviting someone into something that already exists. And that invitation feels different than a request. Most men don't realize how much pressure they put on early interactions. They're not just talking. They're auditioning. They're hoping. They're measuring. And all of that internal pressure leaks into the dynamic. The moment you stop auditioning, attraction becomes easier, because now you're evaluating compatibility instead of begging for approval. That shift alone changes everything. You stop asking, "Does she like me?" and start asking, "Do I enjoy this interaction?" And that subtle change puts you back in your own frame. Frame is everything. The person who sets the emotional frame of an interaction usually has the most influence over how it unfolds. And frame comes from inner stability, not dominance. You don't need to lead forcefully. You lead by being centered. And when you're centered, others naturally orient toward you. This is why the calm man often seems mysterious. Not because he's hiding something, but because he's not spilling everything to reduce anxiety. He's comfortable letting things unfold. And comfort is contagious. Attraction grows best in environments where there's emotional safety and emotional spark at the same time. Too much safety without spark feels platonic. Too much spark without safety feels unstable. Your job isn't to force either. It's to embody balance. You do that by being honest but not overexposed, interested but not attached, present but not needy. And when you live from that place consistently, attraction stops being something you chase. It becomes something that shows up naturally in your life. If this feels unfamiliar, that's okay. Most people were never taught this. They were taught to perform, to impress, to seek validation, and learning that takes time. But once you feel the difference, once you experience how much lighter interactions become when you're not chasing outcomes, you won't want to go back. Because attraction, at its core, isn't about being wanted. It's about being at ease with yourself.